Elementary school.
All right, here's the plan, and I did not mention this to Doug. I have the chef out here. He's going to give tomatoes to everybody. We're going to put Doug in the middle of the room. We'll take aim and fire away. He looks like he's a big enough target so we can mow too much of him. Listen, there is no doubt this did not go the way it was drawn up. I can assure you, between myself, KJ, and Flint, we made our phone calls to Doug. He got a pretty good, angry one from me, just sharing our anger, our frustration, our disapproval with the way this conversion has happened. You know, we're sitting here 3 weeks after the fact, you know, after that projected completed date. That said, today apparently is the day it has all been put in. We had another issue yesterday. Emails weren't put in. They got put in. So I know Doug didn't plan on being here like on the day of, because, you know, the object was for all of you to have some familiarity coming into this seminar. But here we are today. So I'll ask you, take it easy on Doug. I mean, he'll explain the process, delays, but, you know, the focus today is trying to familiarize yourselves with the GIN and the World Handicap System, and that's why Doug is here. You know, let's, again, take it easy on him, because he has to do this again at 1 o'clock. Right? So I don't want the 1 o'clock group coming in here and seeing Doug flying from the flagpole. So I'll turn it over to Doug.
Thank you, Ken.
Whoa, one last thing I want to mention. I don't know if Doug was going to get to it, but, you know, with all of our frustration in this, Carolina Golf Association, and I don't know through, but we are getting 3 months free of the charges for the handicap system. I mean, again, it amounts to $4 a year, but $4 is $4. You'll wind up seeing on your statement the $20 charge and then a credit for the $4. So they did do something.
Of GIN and IT services, and so such, I have a department called the GIN Support Department, and ratings and the tournament software. So we have our hands in technological stuff as well as policies and things like that. So we're going to do 2 things this morning. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you a short presentation on the World Handicap System. The World Handicap System came into effect on January 1st, and it's all kind of new rules, different than we had last year. So it's important that you get a sense of what some of these changes are, so that you'll know what's going on with the new World Handicap System. And then secondly, we'll move into GIN, where I'll talk to you about how GIN is organized, and then I'll give you some demonstrations on how you're going to use the 3 different products that you can use to post your scores. And it'll also give you an idea. You've got a slip of paper there. I built a website over the weekend such that you can go onto this website, key in your last name, and you can find your GIN number right away. And there's also links there for training, videos that you can watch online, and almost all the information you're going to need to try to learn World Handicapping and GIN. And then, of course, your staff will be able to help you as well as at the club. So we're hopefully prepared to support everybody here in whatever questions you have or whatever issues you have. And we'll have some breaks for questions as we go along. But if you have a question while I'm going, just raise your hand. We'll try to answer it as we go along, so that it's not sitting there.
So I've done, just speak up a little bit more. Okay. People in the back.
I've done this presentation now in one form or another about 40 times. So it takes about 3.5 hours. So I'll try to we'll do a limited version today. How about that? So let's start with World Handicapping. In World Handicapping, up until recently, what happened around the world was that there were 6 different national associations all doing handicapping around the world. And as such, they all took and had different ways of doing handicapping. So about 5 years ago, the USGA and the RNA decided, I don't even know if it's plugged in. Does it work?
Do you want to use it? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No.
Just slide it up and it will stay on.
You have to slide it up.
Try it again.
It is like
Yeah.
Not too close.
So what the RNA and the USGA did was they got together and decided perhaps there was a way for them to create a world handicap system across the entire world so that all of these national associations would in fact be able to use the same handicap system throughout. So what you see there is if you were interested in...
Hold the mic a little further away.
Just a little. Just a little.
Okay. From that standpoint, if you were to go to Australia, for instance, Australia, when you play golf in Australia, they typically will play Stableford. So they will pick up when there's no more points to be had, and that would skew their handicap. If you were in the UK previously only worried about basically posting scores that were competition scores, serious scores. Casual play, they didn't post. So a player in the UK might very well only have 8 to 9 scores posted in an entire year. So these were all different. They wanted to take and put it all together so that we have one system around the world. So now we have combined rules of golf across the world, rules of amateur status, equipment rules are now summarized and contained, as well as now handicap rules. So 4 sets of rules govern golf around the world. So it's come together. So how does it all work? Well, for all intents and purposes, the USGA and the RNA at the top of the pyramid here, they're the owners of the system. They developed the World Handicap System and they own it and conduct it and authorize it. They turn around and give national associations the right to use the World Handicap System. So in our case, the USGA gives permission to the USGA to use it in the United States. No problem. The USGA turns around and gives us, the CGA, authorization to produce and use the World Handicap System in the Carolinas. We are the Allied Golf Association. Tom Johnson, who works for me and is our director of handicapping, and I went to Atlanta last year in April and New Jersey last October and had to go to school. We spent 3 to 4 days in World Handicapping School, if there is such a thing, and we had to study World Handicapping. We had to be certified. We had to pass a 100-question test with a score of 85 or better in order to be certified. So we're good. Carolinas is ready to go. Once we're certified, we now have the ability to certify clubs, and that's what we're doing here today. This also means that the club has to pass the test. There's someone on the staff here on the handicap committee that will have to pass a certification test for St. James to be able to use the World Handicap System on a regular basis. I think that's already been done, so you guys are good to go. And then, once the club is certified, they can now authorize handicaps to their members. And the club is responsible for using these handicaps, authorizing them, controlling them, and maintaining them. So it's kind of a straight line from the national associations all the way down to the members. So what's new in the World Handicap System? Well, let's look at the purpose. The purpose was that they wanted to develop the World Handicap System to obtain and maintain, they want to encourage as many golfers as possible to obtain and maintain a handicap index. They wanted to be sure that they could use their index in every golf course around the world. And 3, they wanted to compete, or let golfers compete recreationally or in competition on a fair basis. This means you can play with people from Australia, you can play with people from South Africa, Singapore, whatever else, and if everybody has the same system, it's not fair. So, handicap rule changes. There were primarily 12 major changes from last year to this year. So it's basically a whole new program. And their main goal was they wanted to be inclusive, they wanted to include as many people as possible, to let them have handicaps if they wanted to have handicaps. They wanted it to be consistent. They wanted to make sure that around the world the handicap calculations are done the same way. Everybody gets the same calculation. Now it might surprise you to know that prior to now, everybody who was on a different system calculated it differently, including the USGA system. Most of Carolinas has been on GIN for a few years. You guys were on GolfNet. I will tell you for sure that GolfNet calculated your handicap indexes differently than GIN did. They were supposed to. It just happened. That's not going to happen now. Everything's going to be calculated in one source. Everybody who is part of the GIN system will all get their handicaps calculated exactly the same way. It'll be consistent. And then finally, they wanted the system to be modern. They wanted to try to use modern technology, software, as well as take into account modern courses, modern design, modern tools. So that was their 3 main goals. Now the first thing you need to know is that they decided about 3 or 4 years ago, for the World Handicap System, that they were still going to use the USGA course rating system as the basis for rating courses. That puts us in a good light because most of our courses in the United States are already graded under this system. So we were able to start January 1st. The rest of the countries around the world are going to kick in over a time period. There were several other countries that started January 1st, but England won't start till November, and the rest of them after that. But all the national associations around the world have committed to try to have themselves on this system by the end of 2021. Okay, so we've got a couple of years of transition here. So you might still travel and see courses that aren't rated yet for USGA, or you might be in a country that isn't quite there yet. But the goal is, at the end of 2021, all of these associations around the world will in fact be on board, and they'll have the bulk of their courses rated according to the USGA system. Now, the course rating system is the means by which we determine or set the difference between courses. Obviously, even here, you know that one course probably plays easier than the other for you. Courses around the country are different. Number 2 is a difficult course at Pinehurst than number 1. Okay, so when you play on these courses, the course rating system takes that into account, so that when you score a score, it'll create what's called a score differential, and the score differential factors in how difficult was that course. A 92 on a course may be a very good score for you, but a 92 on another course might be really a poor performance. Depends on what course you're playing. So let's look at some of the changes. First up, for your handicap index. The handicap index now uses your best 8 of your most recent 20 differentials. So your most recent 20 scores each get calculated a differential, and your handicap index will be the average of the lowest 8. This means that your index is trying to create an index for you that shows your golfing ability on your better days. Okay. Now this is different than what it was before. The other one was 10 out of 20, and they've applied a factor called 96%. It used to be called the bonus for excellence. The bonus for excellence, I have no idea if anybody at USGA can define what the hell it was. All right, but they dropped that. So now we're 8 out of 20. The good news is that it didn't change your index a lot. There's no mathematical basis for this, but it turns out that for most golfers in the new system, basically your index is only going to change by 2/10, 1/10. Mine went up 2/10. Tom's went down 1/10. Jean in our office, she went up 2/10. So it didn't change the index a lot. 8 out of 20 and 10 out of 20 wasn't a huge difference. The also change is that you can now get an index if you start with a new GIN number, or a new GIN record, let's say, as soon as you have 3 scores. So instead of waiting for 5 scores, you can start to get it for 3. They want people to get indexes quicker. And you can build up to 20 scores, where it'll then count the 8 out of the most recent 20. Minimum scores to obtain a handicap index. When I say 3 scores, it's actually 54 holes. You can put any combination of 9 and 18 holes together to get to 54 holes, and once you do that, then you will get an index. So any new golfers building a new record will be able to do that quickly. There's no time limit on when you put those scores in to get your index. Maximum handicap index has changed. It used to be 36.4 for men, 40.4 for women. There's no gender bias anymore in the World Handicap System, so now the maximum index permitted under the World Handicap System is 54.0 for both men and women. It's trying to be more inclusive. Okay. One of the things that USGA did was they took some surveys, and they always wanted to kind of know what is it about some avid golfers that play on a regular basis but still don't want an index. How come? And one answer was, well, it's just a group of guys who play on the weekends, and they always play with their own buddies, and they all know how they play, and so they really don't need an index. And there's not much they can do about that. But there were an awful lot of golfers who responded that, well, I don't think I'm good enough. You know, they just felt like, you know, the number's low, I'm going to be a 48, people are going to think I'm terrible. So they decided to raise it to 54, just to be able to allow those people to have an index and feel like they're part of it. And it's a good thing. It's going to be inclusive, and it also gives them an opportunity, new golfers, to start with a high number and see what their progress is. A lot of new golfers get better quick, and it's nice to see that number go down. Now, just because it's 54.0 doesn't mean you have to sit there and worry about whether or not you're going to have to play in competitions with people who are 54.0. Okay. Your tournament committees here still have the ability to set the limits on any competition they want. Okay, that's still the purview of the competition committee, where they can decide what the course handicap limit might be, or what the playing handicap limit might be, or what the index limit might be. And then it's up to the player to decide whether they want to sign up for that event or not. But it's also a good opportunity for the club here to perhaps start to run tournaments for people who are only 36 and higher, or only 40 and higher. They might enjoy getting out there and competing against people of like skill. They might enjoy the competition, and it might encourage them to play better golf or work at their game some. So it works both ways. But your competition committee still have the same rights they had before to set the limits where they want. Low handicap index. As part of your official record now, you have a handicap index, and it will always show you the low HI. Low HI is your lowest handicap index in the previous 12 months. It's a benchmark against which other things are measured. And you'll see as we go along to another slide that sometimes we're measuring things against your low HI. Some competitions want to use your low 12-month HI as the number you're going to use for the competition. But it's always going to carry with you. And so you'll be able to see your low HI in your mobile app and in your tools, just in case you want to know what it is. Every time you look up an index, the low HI will be right there next to it, just so you know what the best index you had in the previous 12 months. And every time you post, it moves forward 12 months. Keeps moving as you post. You don't get a low HI until you have at least 20 scores, so no one's going to get tagged with a low HI while they're building their record. And it must be displayed, and the committee your handicap committee can adjust those if it needs to. In the new GIN system, there are only 18-hole indexes now. 9-hole index groups of folks that have gone away. The World Handicap System will not calculate a 9-hole index. But that's okay, because if you're going to play 9 holes, you can still use your 18-hole index to calculate a 9-hole handicap. You use half of your index, you multiply it times the formula that you would use for the 9-hole rating and the 9-hole slope. You can also look those up on the handicap tables, or you can look those up right in your golf cards. And I'll show you where that is when we get there. So, no problem, everybody's an 18-hole index at this point. Anybody who was a 9 has been automatically converted to 18 as part of the transition. All right, first biggie. One of the main changes to the system that everybody has to kind of get used to is called daily revisions. Under the World Handicap System, we do not have revisions on the 1st and the 15th anymore. They're gone. Now what happens is you post today, you get an new index tomorrow. You post on Saturday, you get a new index on Sunday. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is players are going to need to submit their scores as soon as possible, and presumably before midnight on the day they play. It's only fair that if I play today and post today and get a new index tomorrow, so do you. Okay? And so every day you play, we have to get used to the play today, post today. Now, a lot of you I know have, and me included, had the habit of going, well, you know, the index didn't get calculated until the 15th, so if I put the scores in on the 14th, I'm good. That was generally against the rules, but true in the old system. Okay? Now we do need to post on the day. I play a lot of golf with Gene, one of the players, one of the employees at the CGA, and Gene's great. We finish the holes, we're in the car, driving to the parking lot. She's got her phone out, she's got it posted before we hit the parking lot. Me, not so much. I'm driving the car to start with, I'm counting up the scores. I'm in the car, I'm trying to pack things. The guys are coming and taking away the clubs and the carts and everything else. And next thing you know, I'm either posting later that night or I'm posting 4 days later. So myself, I have to get used to this. I'm going to have to stop, take the 20 seconds it takes, pull up my phone, and post. I'm going to have to get used to doing that so that I also follow the rules. Okay, so this is the first hurdle for members and clubs to start to get to the point where you play today, you post today, and get into that habit. Here's the second biggie that members have to know and players have to know. There is now a new maximum score that you can score for handicap purposes. The old ESR situation, equitable stroke control, ESC, sorry, is gone. That concept that I can only take 7s or I can only take 8s, that's gone. That doesn't apply anymore. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing net double bogey on a hole-by-hole basis. You've got to decide on each hole whether or not you scored more than net double bogey. Okay. And so this is going to take a little bit of effort, but there's a few things you can do to help. Let's see if we can look at an example here. So, the way to think of net double bogey on any hole is you're going to take the par of the hole, you're going to add 2 strokes, and then you're going to add however many handicap strokes you're allowed on that hole. Okay? Par plus 2 plus the strokes you're allowed on that hole. So if we look at the example at the bottom here, it says a player with a course handicap of 11 receives 1 stroke on the first 11 allocated holes. That makes sense. You get 11 strokes, you're going to get them on the 11 handicap holes. So on a par 4 hole with a stroke index of 6, that means I'm going to get a stroke. The player's net double bogey score is 4 plus 2 plus the 1 stroke I received, so the maximum score I can score on that hole is a 7. We look at another example. We're looking at Janet here. She gets 18 shots, so she's going to get a stroke every single hole. This is her scorecard. She's moving along just fine until she gets to hole number 17 here, where she scored an 8. So we look at the hole again. Par is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus the 1 stroke she gets is 7. So she cannot score an 8 there. She has to score 7 for handicap purposes. So what it means is her score for the competition is 95. That's what she's going to turn in for the game today. But her score for posting, she's going to post as 94. So it's similar to ESC before, but it just has different rules. I know it's a little bit complicated, but there's a couple things that you're going to be able to do. One, when you get to the golfer products, there is the opportunity for you to post hole by hole. And everybody groans at that, but it doesn't take very long, it's pretty quick. But if you do decide to post hole by hole on your mobile app, on the desktop, at the kiosk, the system will figure out that double bogey for you. It knows what course you're playing, and it knows what your course handicap is. So it'll automatically adjust for you. So if you don't want to be bothered with this, just take a few extra minutes, maybe 15, 20 seconds, key in your 18 scores, the system will do it for you, your handicap index will be perfect. The other thing to keep in mind is that basically a lot of people's indexes don't change a lot, and their handicaps don't change a lot, you know, stroke here or there over the course of a year. So in my case, with my index, I know anytime I look at a scorecard, all I have to do is worry about 7s, 8s, and 9s. I can take 6s anywhere. So I don't have to look at every hole, I just got to look at my card for 7s, 8s, and 9s. I can't take a 7 on a par 3, but I can take a 7 on a par 5. So it makes it quicker. I don't have to look at 18 holes and go, oh man, can I take this score, can I take this score? All right, so you can shortcut it a little bit that way. But it is something to get used to, because if not, your handicap index is going to be inflated unless you take care of that double bogey. Remember, your handicap index is, again, supposed to be reflective of how you score on your better days. Okay? And so high scores are not allowed to, exceptionally high scores are not allowed to creep in there. Okay. Guidelines for most likely score. If you're out there playing golf and you're playing a hole and you don't finish that hole, for whatever reason, most of the time it's because your partner's already in the hole that you're picking up, or you have no chance, you're sick and tired of it, I'm going for a 15, I don't want to play anymore. You still got to write down a score, okay? If you're playing golf, you need a posting. If you're posting, you need scores for every hole. So if it's a hole that you started and did not finish, you have to come up with most likely score. That was the same rule as before. You had to make an estimate. What do you think you would have had for this hole? But what the World Handicap System has done is added some guidelines. These are recommendations. You don't have to follow them, but these are the guidelines they're going for. That if you're on the putting green within 5 feet of the hole, they're suggesting add 1 additional stroke. In your leagues or your play, there's no reason at all that your club can't decide that that's 3 feet or 2 feet. Okay? If you're between 5 and 20 yards away, you're pretty much maybe still in the green complex or on the green, 2 or 3. But you're always taking into account your ability and what kind of situation you're in. If I'm in a deep greenside bunker that's less than 20 yards from the hole, in my game, I'm going to have 3. And sometimes I'll probably hit 5. You know what? I don't make every 5-foot putt. You know, I make enough of them. That's okay if I use a 1. It's not going to kill my index. What it is there for is the opportunity for you to have some sense of what makes sense, okay? And frankly, I think it's there so you can call out the guy who's got a 3 handicap, he's 2 feet from the hole, and he has 2. What the hell? We see it all the time, you know? That's the guy, no, recommendations say 1, mark it at 1. You gotta keep those people honest, all right? So that's the recommended, it's just part of the World Handicap System, but the key thing here is the most likely score. If you don't finish a hole, you still have to mark down your most likely score, even if you don't finish the score in the middle of the fairway. Make an estimate. Mark a little X next to it on the scorecard, so it's not going to count for the competition, but the scorer knows it's good for handicaps. Hole not played. Same thing. You're now closed out, you're in a match, you closed out on 16, you're not going to play 17 and 18, you're just driving back to the clubhouse. You still got to record a score for holes 17 and 18. You didn't play them, you didn't start them. So in this case, you're going to mark down a score that's called net par. We used to call this par plus, so the only difference in the World Handicap System is the nomenclature. You're going to mark down whatever score goes on that hole that would give you a net par. If you were going to get a stroke on 17 and it was a par 4, you're going to mark down a 5, because that would give you a net 4. Okay, the fun one, the playing conditions calculation. Give me a second to take off my jacket. A lot of people in here. So, in the World Handicap System, they provided a mechanism called the playing conditions calculation. What they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to compensate people's scores and score differentials if in fact there was some condition at the course that day that caused a significant amount of golfers to either score really well or to score very poorly. Okay, now, what are the causes of that? Well, it could be weather. It could have been raining cats and dogs. It could have been a stiff breeze. It could have just been a wet course. On the plus side, the course may have been set up particularly easy. You know, tee boxes were all up, holes were all in the bottom of valleys, the ball would roll on a country mile. Everybody played well that day. And so they've come up with what's called the PCC calculation. It's a formula that sits behind the scenes. The system does it. We're never going to know what the formula is. But what it does is it looks at all the scores posted that day at the course, all teams, all genders, and determines whether or not there were a significant amount of people that scored better or worse than what the course ratings would have predicted. And if there's enough of that, it'll make an adjustment to the player's score differential for everybody who posted that day. Okay? Now, this does not mean that somebody at the club has to call anybody and say, hey, it was raining yesterday. Okay? It will figure it out. It doesn't care what the reason was.
Okay, let me
It's just that people had
continue reading.
a lot of good scores or a lot of exceptionally bad scores. If it's exceptionally bad scores, it's going to take your score differential and lower it a little bit. You played better than you thought you did under bad conditions. If it was exceptionally good scores, it's going to raise your score differential just a little bit because you didn't play as well as you thought. Everybody played well today. So it's all done statistically behind the scenes, but it's very conservative, doesn't happen very often. We're looking at 15, 20% of the time, perhaps max. We'll have to monitor it this year and see what happens. But if you do get a PCC and an adjustment to your score, it'll show up in your scoring record. There'll be a column in your record that says PCC, and you'll see a +1 in there, -1. There'll be a number in there, and you'll know that you got adjusted. And you'll also know that everybody else who posted for the score at course that day also got adjusted. Now, what's interesting here is that you could get a PCC on this course, and that course over there, no. It depends on the scores posted at that course for whatever happened. Okay? So, your minor changes here, you're going to see adjustments in your score differential of 0.8, 1.6, nothing drastic. And it's not going to change your score. Okay, your score, if you posted an 88, tomorrow you got a PCC, your 88 is still there. It's just changing the differential. And that'll factor into your index. Okay? Now, a minus value, if you see a minus value, that means the course is playing easier than expected. A minus value is only going to be a -1. That's the best it can get if it's good scores. And a plus value means that the course is playing harder than expected. And that can be a +1, +2, or a +3. Again, don't have to really... And they're only going to count handicap indexes that are 36 and below. Because handicap index is 36 and above, they're pretty variable all by themselves. So we're not going to count those into the stats. It is applied to the score differential, as I mentioned. It's not going to change your score. And it will also take in 9-hole stats as well as 18-hole stats. So if you get a PCC on the day and you posted a 9-hole score, you'll get half of the PCC adjustment. So it factors all the way through, okay? And so we're going to take a look at it. One of the things that's nice about it to a certain extent is we can get reports at the CGA as to how many PCCs are happening at courses all over the Carolinas. And if we start to see a course getting an extraordinary amount of PCCs, we got to take a look at that. That's telling us, maybe the course rating's off for that course. Maybe the course is not set up properly. Maybe the course is not set up in the same way that it was measured. And so our course ratings director will probably give a call to the head pro or the superintendent here and say, hey, we got a problem. You guys are gaining PCCs every third or fourth day. Have you been living in a monsoon, or is there some other reason? And they'll take a look at it and decide perhaps that we got to send another team out to rate again. Or maybe we find out that you're not putting the tee boxes on the tee boxes that we actually measured. So there's a lot of reasons why I can do, but it gives us some statistics to try to monitor and track courses. Another concept that is factored in is called exceptional score reduction. Now, for those of you that remember the old system, there used to be T-scores, tournament scores. No more tournament scores. Okay? No such thing as a T-score. T-scores have no impact at all on your handicap index anymore. Okay? So we don't record T-scores, and there is no something, what used to be called reduced handicap, the dreaded R. Okay? Anybody who had an R coming into this year is gone. Okay? So what they've done is they replaced it, whoops. What they've done is they've replaced it with ESR, exceptional score reduction. And what's nice about this is the fact that now if you go out and shoot a good score today, you'll get adjusted today. Okay, you'll get a slight adjustment today. And it is slight. So what you're looking at here is that if you go out and shoot 7 to 9 differential strokes better today than the index you started with today, you'll get a new index minus 1 shot. Okay? You've reflected that you can play pretty well. And again, the system wants to reflect your ability, so we're going to move you down more. If you go out and do 10 strokes or better, you're going to get your new index minus 2 shots. Now, in the past, if you remember, if any of you had an R, sometimes your R was 5, 6, 7 strokes. And those T-scores, oh my God, they hung around for a year. But in this system, when they do reduce you that 1 shot, they're reducing you that 1 shot for your 20 previous scores. So, what that means is you can work off that adjustment with 20 new scores. All you do is you have 20 new scores. It makes sense. If you put in 20 new scores, that's going to be pretty reflective of your ability, right? Everybody's always calculating the index on your best 8 of 20. 20 new scores, hey, that's how I play. I don't have to worry about that adjustment anymore. Now, it's good to know that people who want to shoot 7 shots better than their index, the odds of doing that, 1 in 3,000 rounds. It's not going to happen a lot. 2, interesting though, the odds go way up that if you did it once, you're going to do it again. Okay? So people who demonstrate they can go 7 shots lower, they've got that ability in their body somewhere, they're probably going to do it again. So it is a way to just take improving golfers. We all hate to play that guy who's a 20 that's taking lessons out the wazoo and he's headed for a 9. Because he's going to take our money for a few months. Okay. So we want that index to be reflected very quickly as he goes down. We want it to be, again, an indication of his ability on his mistakes. This is all done behind the scenes as well. It's automatic. There's a column in your record that says ESR. And if there's a -1 in there or a -2, then you know you got hit. And it is also designated with an E for ESR. Finally, on the opposite side, in case your handicap goes up, the World Handicap System now has caps. You can only raise your index just so far. There's a soft cap and then a hard cap. So as your index starts to go up, you can raise your index 3 shots for free over your low HI for the year without any adjustment. The soft cap says after you get to 3, as you go beyond 3, we're only going to let you have half of anything that you go over 3. And if you ever get to 5 shots over your low HI for the year, you're capped, period. So that means on a regular basis, no one can have a handicap index that's more than 5 shots higher than their low HI at that time. Now you can work that off because as you go along, your low HI might work its way off. It's a 12-month low HI. But on a regular basis, no one can have a handicap index any longer that's more than 5 shots higher than their low HI for the previous 12 months. Now your handicap committee does have the ability to override that because there are players who are recovering from surgery, have a disability, hurt themselves. So all that person has to do is go to the handicap committee, describe the situation. The handicap committee will look at their condition, and they do have the ability to give you a set index higher than 5 as you recover from the surgery or get the condition back under control. Or they can give you a higher index temporarily until we get 20 scores that do now truly reflect your ability with whatever condition you're playing with. So that's possible for the handicap committee. The only thing that we ask of the handicap committee is they've got to talk to Tom at our office when they do that, because we really want to be sure that clubs across the Carolinas are all doing it for essentially the same reason. We can't have a club over here, you know, giving an extra handicap for a hangnail, and somebody else has got a broken leg. Not really fair that way in that particular case. So this is also done by formula as well. You don't have to know how it works necessarily. If you are capped, when you look at your index in any of the products, there'll be a symbol right next to it. You click on that symbol, it'll pop up a box and tell you you've been capped. And also, you have to have at least 20 scores before you get capped. We're not going to cap anybody as they build their record up. Okay, the third biggie. This is the controversial one. Course handicaps. Course handicap under the World Handicap System is the number of strokes a player receives to play down to the par of the teams that they're playing. Now that is different than what it was last year. Your handicap, your course handicap last year, under the old rules, was the number of strokes you received to play down to the rating of the course. So if you played to a course that was rated at 66, you were given enough strokes, on average, that your net score, when you played well, would be net 66. Now, if you're playing on a course that is rated, or par, 72, you're only going to be given enough strokes to take your gross score on a good day and get back to net par, 72. Most of the courses around the country have ratings that are less than par. So what that means is almost everybody's handicap in this room will go down. Course handicap will go down as a result of the World Handicap System. Okay, because you're now trying to get back to par instead of the ratings, which is what it was before. Now the good news here is that if you're, and it sounds like you guys did this and you understood this, that if you went out and played against other people who played other tees than you did, you always need to make that adjustment. The guy who played up had to give up 2 shots. He had to give up 3 shots, depending on where he played on tees. You don't have to worry about that anymore. If the tee par is the same, you're all playing to a par 72, the course handicap that you look up in the morning to see what your course handicap is that day is what you play with. That adjustment is already built into the course handicap. Okay, there's no more extra adjustment needed. You look up your course handicap, as long as everybody's playing the same par, go out and play. Use that course handicap because it's already built in. It's fair. Everybody's trying to get back to 72. Perfect. You play well, you end up at net 72. You play really well, you'll end up net under par. You play poorly, you're going to be over par. Makes perfect sense. The fact of the matter is, most members thought that we were always getting course handicaps to get us back to par anyway. So now it's true. So let's take a look at a quick example, because I just really want to show you how drastic it could be in some cases. So we're going to play Bushwood Country Club, T rating 66.4, T slope of 132, which are really odd numbers, so making this drastic. Par 72 and a handicap index of 14.5. So what's the course handicap going to be? Well, on the left here, the black part is the old formula. So all we do is take the old formula, and we're now going to take the course rating minus par and add it to it. So this person would have been a 14.5 times 132, which is the slope, divided by 113, 16.9. That's the black part of the equation. So last year, this person would have been 16.9, and that would have rounded to 17. So then we got 17 shots in this course. Good, piece of cake. But we got to do the blue portion of the code. So now we're going to take 66.4, the rating of the course, minus 72, the par of the course, And we now have a factor of minus 5.6. So we add those together, we have 16.9 minus 5.6. They go to 11.3.
Oh.
We round 11. And December 31st, 17. January 1st, 11. Big difference. But the good news is, everybody who plays that set of tees also lost 6 shots. Okay? Everybody's trying to get back to par. So depending on what tees you play on a regular basis, and the senior tees in a lot of courses are all down in the 67, 66, 65 range. If the pars are still 71, 72, you're going to lose 5 to 6 shots over what you're normally used to. But trust me, I mean, it is the new formula. There isn't a lot of logic in it. It is the new way to calculate it. All we ask you is to go out and play some rounds with your buddies and find out that you're going to win or lose your $2 just as often as you did last year. It's fair for everybody. Okay? Everybody got dinged who plays those teams. Again, the good thing is that if you are playing in casual golf or you're playing in a tournament, which the staff will take care of, there's no more than an extra adjustment. If you look up your course handicap in the morning and you show up for a tournament here, you should see the same number on the card if they're giving you 100% of your handicap. Because there isn't a further adjustment because of tee difference. There is a playing handicap nomenclature. Playing handicap is what your staff will probably take care of. All that is your course handicap times whatever handicap allowance is allowed for the game you're playing that day. Okay? So depending on what game you're playing, if you're playing 4-ball stroke play, then typically the recommendation is to give you 85% of your score. Now that's changed. There's a lot of new allowances that you'll see on the cards. The USGA used to be, for 4-ball stroke play, used to be 95% for women and 90% for men. No gender bias at all now. Everything's the same for men and women. It's 85%. Scramble numbers have changed. In fact, they're even recommending if you go out and play individual stroke play, you only get 95%. I don't have a big problem if you still want to do 100 there. That's not a big problem. And the fact of the matter is your tournament committee can still use any allowance they want. Okay? These are just the USGA recommended. You still can run competitions the way you want. You want to come up with 65.3%? Fine. Whatever you want to come up with is just fine. But it'll be in the handicap manual, and the staff will know what they are. A whole new set of recommendations for different games and the different things. And the USGA has put these recommendations out there because they feel like it's fair. One of the reasons 4-ball stroke play went to 85% was because it's trying to take and tighten up the competition a little bit, as well as compensate for the difference between high handicappers and low handicappers and get that more competitive. It also took into account some of the nuances of the world handicap system when it came to calculating numbers. And of course you have to remember the USGA just runs tons and tons and tons of simulations, so they don't really share them with us, but they run the numbers through pretty good before they decide on these numbers to make sure that they feel comfortable that they're good. And the only thing we need to know here, I'm just going to run to the end here, is the playing course handicap. The only difference we wanted to point out to those who are into numbers, when you get to the playing handicap, you do not pick up the 11, the rounded number. You keep the decimal all the way through to the end. So when if you're doing hand calculations yourself, you only round it when you get to the number you're looking for. In the old system, if you were going to calculate a handicap, you calculate a course handicap and you'd round to a whole number. Then you take the whole number and you apply the allowance to round to a whole number. Then you'd apply the difference between tees and round to a whole number. So if you had about 90 people in your tournament, at least 3 people got screwed 3 times. Okay? That's not going to happen anymore. Okay? You're just going to round when you get to your final number. In fact, if I had carried the 11 over to this formula here, this guy would have ended up with a 9 instead of a 10. So it's important. It's one stroke. Okay, we talked about daily revisions. Handicap changes every day if you post it. So what do we do with multi-round competitions? What do we do with any competitions? What index do we use? Well, if you're going to have a competition that's going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's highly recommended that you pick the index you're going to use and keep it for the competition. You don't need to change it every day. It's not going to make that big a difference. However, if you had a season-long or a summer-long match play event, you're playing each month, well then the club's going to come up with some kind of rules as to which index should you use when you play your match, because that's over an extended period of time. Every club has got to decide what index are we going to use for this competition. We talked to our tournament committee here at the CGA, and said, guys, you know, you're running net events, you're running the 1-days and the 4-ball events, so what index are you going to use? And they talked about it a lot, and they finally decided, you know, we're going to use the index of the player on the day registration closes. They typically play that event between 7 and 8 days after registration closes. So that's the one that's going to get locked in for that event. Now, obviously, some people's handicaps will go up and down in the meantime, but you know what, last year that was the same thing. We would use the 1st and play the game on the 14th. Not a big difference. You've got a steady number, everybody's fair, everybody got the same index on the same day. So in your case, if you have a Thursday afternoon league, that league might have to decide what indexes are we going to use to play that day. If you're looking for the staff to put together pairings, teams, flights on Tuesday night, they're going to have to use Tuesday morning indexes to play for Thursday. But each group can decide. We only recommend that for your tournaments and your events and things like that, that you come up with some kind of consistency so the members aren't always guessing as to what index is going to be used. You know, 5 days before, you know, 2 days before. If you're doing dogfights on Friday morning and people, you don't even know who's going to show up until they show up, well, then you're going to use Friday morning indexes. You know, when they show up at the course, you know, you'll figure out what it is that day. Okay? So it is up to you. You can use whatever system you think is fair for your group, or the staff can use what they think is fair for the entire crowd. Let's talk about what scores are acceptable for posting. Only authorized formats. All the formats that we used to post to are still new in the world of the handicap system. So all the formats of games and things like that that you played, Stableford, stroke play, match play, Callaway, all those types of things are all postable as long as you have done most likely score or filled in scores for scores that not played. You will score and post scores for competitions in match play and stroke play even if you did not finish a hole. We already talked about that. We get calls at the CGA all the time. You know, I picked up, I shouldn't have to post this score. No, you're wrong. You play golf, we need a score, you got to post. And you can use most likely, or you're going to use hole not played as your guidelines. You can only post scores on courses that have officially USGA rated ratings and slopes. Okay? There are plenty of courses around the country that are not officially rated. We have a lot of them here in the Carolinas, okay? Especially over in the Myrtle Beach area. Oyster Bay, I get a call at least once a week from people who played Oyster Bay and can't find it on the system. Why? Oyster Bay's not rated. They refuse to be rated. I'm not sure why. If I get that many calls, they must be doing some good business. Otherwise, so what is nice about the new system and the product you're going to see is looking up a course is much easier now. Oops. What ends up happening in before, you had to know the exact name of the course. So if you were looking for Country Club of Whispering Pines, you had to know whether it was in the system as Country Club of, CC of, C period of, Whispering Pines, comma, Country Club Beyond. It was endless. Now it's a universal search. You can just type in the word whispering, and it'll give you all the whisperings in the country. Just like the one you need. So much easier to find your courses. If you cannot find the course in the lookup, you can't post. Okay? If you can't find the course, you can't post. It's not legal under the World Handicap. It wasn't legal before either, but it's not legal under the World Handicap. Jim has just tried to make it easier for you to find them. You must play your game under the rules of golf. You have to be making up your own rules, right? If you're practicing, hitting extra shots, extra putts, doing things that aren't allowed under the rules, that's not a postable round. We've had this rule in effect for a little while. You have to be accompanied by somebody else. That person does not have to be playing golf with you. They'd be riding the car reading a book. But somebody has to be in attendance while you play. And then finally, kind of a new one, you can post a score when a player is following a model local rule, even if that rule hasn't been adopted by the committee. So what does that mean? Well, that means, let's say George and his buddies want to go out and play today, it's a little wet, they decide they'd like to play lift, clean, and place. Now, the Pro Shop hasn't said lift, clean, and place is in place today. It doesn't matter. That is an official model local rule. If they choose that they would like to play under that, it's close enough to the rules of golf, go ahead and play. It's postable, at least for posting purposes. Obviously, it wouldn't be acceptable for competition that you play lift, clean, and place and everybody else doesn't. But if you are just playing casual golf and you want to play lift, clean, and place, then you can post. It is a postable score. Same thing with that new rule that allows you to take out of bounds or lost ball and bring it back to the fairway with a 2-stroke penalty. That is a model local rule. Even if your club hasn't adopted that for casual play, you want to play that with your buddies, go ahead. It's fun, have a great time, and you will be able to post that score. Okay? So there's a handful of model local rules in the rule book, but if you want to play according to those, even if they're not invoked by the club, you can still post the score as postable. Okay, score designations. When you post, you're going to be able to post an H score, an A score for away, or a C score for competition. Now I said that the T scores are gone. They are. But they've designated C scores. But C scores have no impact at all on your handicap index. It is just a label. Okay? So your club and yourselves can decide when you think you want to post a C score. We're recommending to the clubs that when they run formal competitions, that they post them as C or ask you to post them as C. Why? Because your handicap committee would really like to know how you do when you play and the chips are on the table. This is generally what it's generally known, and we can't refute it. People tend to play a little bit better when there's real competition as opposed to when they're playing with their buddies on Friday or their husband or wife on Sunday. It's a little more intense. So we're encouraging people to post C scores when they're playing real golf or in a competition or a tournament. It's just a way for you to track it. And on your mobile app and your desktop, you're going to be able to look at your stats and you can have one option that says, just show me my C scores. So you would be able to filter out everything and just see your C scores, so you too can get an indication of how you play when you're playing serious golf. Your club can put in an H, an A C for you as well, and they also have the ability to post penalty scores on your behalf. Penalty scores are put in for two reasons. People who are trying to maintain a vanity handicap, they'll get a high penalty score. And people who are what are known in England as bandits or here as sandbaggers, they can get put in a low penalty score. Penalty scores are just a mechanism for your handicap committee that is basically an adjustment or call it a punishment for people who are not posting or people who are not following the rules. If they feel like you are not posting on a timely basis or you forgot to post, your handicap committee has the ability and the right to post a penalty score on your behalf. Now, the penalty score is going to be equal to the lowest differential in your current scoring record. They're not going to allow, they used to allow you to put in a par round. And that's pretty draconian. In fact, for a scratch golfer, that might actually help this index. So I used to belong to a club a long time ago, and if you didn't post back then in 7 days, they automatically didn't even send you a warning. They just automatically posted a score of par. And believe me, everybody at that club posted correctly. I lived an hour and 15 minutes away from that club, and twice, halfway home, turned around the car and went back because I forgot to post. Because you could only post at the club. There was only posting stations back then. I did not want the 72. Also in the system, there'll be two other designations. One will be an N, okay, so if you play 9 holes, all right, and it's going to wait, it's going to take that 9 hole and set it aside, because there's only 18 hole handicaps. It's going to take that 9 hole score, put it in your record, but it's not going to put it in your index until you do another 9 hole score. It'll then combine those 9 hole scores together into one 18 hole score, one customized 18 hole score, and it'll be denoted as an N so that you know it's really made up of 2 9s. Does not matter what 9s. Okay, if you play the front side today and you play the front side again tomorrow, those are 2 separate 9s, you can add those together. You can play the front 9 on this course and play the back 9 over there, and those will get combined because they know what the ratings are for the 9 holes. It could be here and Pebble Beach. It'll still put them together. The good news in the new product is at the bottom of your list, when you post 9 holes, it never showed up before. So we have people post 9 holes and go, that's not there. I'll post it again, and again, and again. Next thing you know, they've got 17 9-hole scores in their record. Somebody's got to go in and adjust it. Now the 9 holes will confirm to you that it posted it on the screen, and it'll be at the bottom of the record saying it's waiting for another 9 holes to be combined. Okay, so you can go to the bottom of your record and see that it's there if you need confirmation. And then the other thing is, if you did get an exceptional score, if you had an exceptional score that was going to trigger a reduction, then you're going to have an E in the designated category there. That will give you an indication that you should look at your score and see what kind of adjustment you got. All right. Okay, we're going to get into more detail on the GIN system and the products in just a second, but I did want to talk about it here. You've got 3 ways to post your scores in GIN now. You've got the kiosk that's going to be set up in the different clubhouses. I'll be talking with the staff today on how to do that, so hopefully the kiosk will be up and running very shortly. You'll walk up to the kiosk, you type in your last name, and you're going to be able to post your score, see your scoring record, look up other players in the club, and look up your course handicap, all right at the kiosk if you want. The second way is you can use a mobile app. GIN mobile app is available for iPhone and Android. It's not unfortunately available for Pixel, Microsoft, or Amazon Fire. So iPhone or Android. Interesting facts I just saw on Monday. Since the first of the year, take you guys off. Since the first of the year, GIN has recorded 757,000 scores, none of them from St. James. 757,000 scores on the phone app. Surprisingly to me, 82% of those scores all came from an iPhone. I would not have thought that the percentage was that high for iPhone. That's remarkable. So either golfers are really into Apple, or Apple's doing better than we all thought. So the mobile app is available. On the mobile app, you have a lot of the same tools that we've always had, but they've enhanced it. There's some new technology. I'll show you a demo of that before we're done today. And then finally, you also can go to the desktop, www.gin.com. And when you log into there, you're going to log in with your GIN number and your last name, and then you'll be able to see your record, post scores, look up people in the clubs, calculate your course handicap, etc. What's nice about that is you can get to that site from anything that's connected to the internet as a browser. Phone, tablet, Surface, Chromebook, laptop, desktop. If you have a computer as a browser and get to the internet, you can post scores. Just go to gin.com, log in with your GIN number and your last name, you're home free. Now right now, the mobile app, you log in with your last name and your GIN number. And on the desktop, you log in with your last name and your GIN number. Come April, the USGA is going to tighten up security in the Google GIN system. In April sometime, you're going to have to create a profile for yourself. That profile will require your email address and a password. And from that time forward, in order to get into the mobile app or the desktop, you're going to have to key in your email address as your username and your password. Okay? So they're going to tighten that up so that only you can get into your record. What this means, unfortunately, for you is everybody has to have a unique email address. You can't share email addresses with your husband or your wife or your children. Everybody in the GIN system has to have a unique email address. So when you see your email addresses later today, when you look up your GIN numbers, if it is duplicated with your husband or wife, someone's going to have to change one of them at some point. Otherwise, when April comes around, your emails will be wiped out, and you'll have to key them in again, and they'll have to be separate. Also, probably not a big factor here, USGA is going to also follow what are called the COPA laws. They are no longer allowed to keep email addresses for any junior under the age of 13. We're not allowed to reach them, contact them, or store any of their data. So people under 13 will not be able to have email addresses, but in April, their guardians will be able to log in, declare that they're a guardian, and give us their email in order to contact the adult, as opposed to the kid. We talked about handicap allowances. These are the new ones here. And time for questions on the world handicap system. Anything I didn't cover? Anything you have a question about? Yes, sir.
The new cards that we've received, I think at reserve only, so they'll have new cards start for the other courses coming up. Course cards.
Scorecards?
Yeah, scorecards.
Yeah, scorecard will be up too.
Okay. And there were rumors only, and some of this you can see on the reserve scorecard, that the greens and green-white combos might be playing to a par 70 versus a 72, or does that sound?
No, the plan is to have the Carolina Golf Association out here starting in mid-February, and they're going to re-rate the golf courses. I think, is that what you're talking about?
Right.
But as of right now, everything on the scorecard is correct.
Okay, and then PJ, all we have to do is make sure that the pars and the handicap allocations in the GIN system match your cards. Okay.
Will they also be looking at possibly changing some of the holes? Like number one here at Members, it's 500 plus yards from the greens,
We don't do anything with design, but there are,
No, this was mainly to these guys.
yeah, there are measurements for yardage that are recommended. Yes, sir.
So the bottom line is, we didn't know really how the sausage was being made under the old system.
Right.
And maybe we don't really know how it's being made under the new system. You just basically need to post a score, net par +2, and you need to know what holes those are posted on.
That's correct.
And then it doesn't really matter how you adjust for I mean, if you're playing with your buddies and everybody has a 10 handicap, and they say, we're gonna play to an 8 today, as long as you're all playing off the same indexes for that day, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter what you
As long as
decide
you
to
post the proper score, how they calculate it and the conditions.
Yeah, if you all decide to go out and play to an 8 when you're 10s, that's between you. That's for your game.
Right.
Okay? But for handicap purposes, you would count the 10 when you're doing your net double bogey. Because that's your official course handicap.
Yeah, the official
Right.
course. So you
Absolutely.
just need to know what holes you would be able to take
Right.
a net par
double
plus
bogey.
double bogey.
Right,
plus
exactly.
2.
So, yes, you're absolutely right. It's going to be relatively simple. I went through a lot of stuff here, but you really only have to post today and post your net double bogey score for any hole, and you're done.
Are we gonna be able to post all like 15 rounds we've had since the 1st of January
Sure.
at one time?
Yeah, one after the other, one after the other. Just make sure when you do it, that you do in fact put the date you played.
Right,
You know,
and
that's
the
what we
course
sure.
and the,
Oh, yeah, you'll have to do the course.
Right, and everything.
Change the date to the date you actually played, so it'll calculate things correctly. Back to you.
I schedule for a weekly group, and there's usually 2 of us. Different tees. Does the GNAP, is it going to have an app for us where we can click it and the night before fill out our groups, and it'll flow the pops and all the holes for us?
No, the GIN system isn't set to give you an actual scorecard, but in the mobile app and in the desktop, there is a course of handicap calculator. So you can take your group of guys, say we're going to play tomorrow on the members course, and you can pull down and tell each, you can signify exactly what tee each player is going to play, you know, to give you the course handicap for each guy. But it's not going to fill out a card.
Okay,
But it'll tell you the course handicap for every guy. So even if you wanted to do it at the first tee with your phone, at Pinehurst, where I'm a member, the members group, they don't decide the tees they want until they show up. You know, Bob, oh, I slept bad yesterday, I'm going to play the green. You know, one guy's
so is that one person at a time, or can I put 8 people up like this?
put as many people as you want. It's no longer limited.
So allow you to build a list of people?
Yes, you can not only build, you can have a list of people on the course, but you also now, and you'll see with the demo, that's the next section. You'll see where there's now a following list, so you can keep people in your following list all the time. Yes, sir.
As far as entering score, you mentioned it's important to do it the day you play.
Yes, sir.
Say you didn't, how much time do you have to get those scores in?
If you don't post the day you play, we still want you to put it in as quickly as possible. There's lots of reasons why you might not post the day you play. I play today, I go home, next thing I know, I'm on my way to the emergency room for some reason. I'm not worried about my golf score. All right? I'm on a cruise in Europe, and I'm playing it 3 times, and I'm not going to pay the $4,000 a day to get internet on the ship. I'm going to post my scores when I get home. Okay, those are all reasonable reasons. But I'm going to post them as soon as I can when I get home. Your handicap committee is not going to ding you for that. Okay?
There's no cutoff time.
No. But if you start doing that on an individual basis, your handicap committee is probably going to talk to you. Yes, sir.
Quiet, please.
So guys, who's ever leaving, you're missing the whole gene part of this, just in case you want to know. That's coming next. Yes, sir.
I was asking, will this system allow us to keep statistics, putting, driving accuracy, and all that, and put our scores in?
Yeah, we'll see that in a demo. If you put your scores in, there is a statistical package for number of putts, greens and regulation, and whether you hit the fairways or not. You can turn that on or off at your leisure. Sure. Yes. You can catch up as soon as you get your gin over. Okay, a couple more questions and we'll move on to gin. Yes, sir. I still got a whole bunch to do on gin for you. Okay. Everybody's jumping ahead there. Okay. Let's talk about the actual gin system, the thing you're actually going to use to post your scores. All right, you were given these little slips of paper here today, okay? I built a little website up on our website, okay? And what the website's going to do, if you use that middle thing, just go to your computer and go to that website, and I'll show you where it is. Give me a second.
What?
Yeah, it did.
Don't open the door.
I would say no.
If the air conditioner's on, just leave it.
Yeah, I can feel it on my face.
Okay, so if you click on that bit.ly GIN, it's going to bring you to this page right here at our GIN web support. And what I put here was this little section for you, specifically for St. James, okay? And there's 4 links there. It gives you the ability on the first link to look up your new GIN number, okay? This is the easiest way for you to go there and find out what your new GIN number is. If you click there, which I will do for you, click on GIN number, it's going to bring you to this little screen here. All you have to do is type in your last name, so we'll look for somebody named Smith, and then all the Smiths will come right to the top. All you got to do is find you, and your GIN number is going to be here, your local number is going to be here, and your index as of Monday is there. Okay, just so you have a reference for what was on Monday.
What is local number?
What's local?
Local number came from GolfNet. Local number is, as long as you have a local number, you can use that number key in your kiosk instead of having to type your whole name or type your 8-digit GIN number. So if you want to write that down, it's just a fast, easier way. Remember, your local number is not your GIN number. Your local number is just for the purpose of using the kiosk. It's just a quicker way to put in a 4 or 5-digit number instead of 8 digits. But most of the time when you go up to the kiosk, you just type in your last name and you'll get right to your record. As far as the mobile app and the desktop, you still have to log in with your GIN number and your last name. Okay.
Just a...
Yes, there you go. So, it works. I hope so. If you just need to do a new search, click on new search and you can put in another name. So that's a really easy way to do it. It'll also show you what your current email address is in the system. We have no way of knowing whether or not GolfNet gave us your correct email address. Okay. If it is, great, nothing you have to do. If you need it to change, let's go back to the original page. And you can see down here, add my email address to my GIN record. You can either change it with the staff here. They have access to your record. They can change it for you if you happen to be in the pro shop. Or you can click on this link here and you can do it online. All it's going to do is it's going to give you some instructions, and then down below you're going to give us your first and last name, give us your GIN number, type in your email twice so we can avoid typos, and give us a phone number in case we have a question we want to call you about it. Okay? And then we'll change it for you. It may not get changed that same day. You got 2,000 people. It may take us a little while to get caught up on it, okay? But we'll get it in there as quickly as we can. Now, if you have the GIN number in there right now, that will give you access to the e-newsletter that we send out on the 1st and the 15th. That'll give you information about CGA, it'll give you an update of your index that day, and it will give you your revision scores at the bottom of the email. So it's a nice, easy, just simple 10 newsletter that come out. Right now, when I send that out, I send out tips and techniques there, little tricks that we've learned about in case you want to read that, in case something's popped up that either doesn't work well or we need to know about. We go back to the site. We also put a link here to the Members Training Center, okay? We created a training center for members. If I click here, these are all the different links that you can use in order to learn more about the World Handicap System, learn things about the mobile app, how to install the mobile app, and the top 3 here are the M1, M2, and M4. These are video guides. I've already created 15 to 16-minute videos you can watch online. It'll take you right to YouTube. And these videos will show you how to use the kiosk, how to use the mobile app, and how to use the desktop. We do real examples in real time right in the videos. So those will be posted here, but they'll also be probably put on your website as well so you can get access to those. So far the reaction to the videos has been pretty good. I've gotten some feedback that says they've been helpful. So good news. That'll get you started. They're pretty intuitive, but sometimes it's nice to see it first once rather than just guess. So that's the Members Training Center. And then finally, if you want more information about the World Handicap System beyond the quick, fast thing I did today, you can go to WHS, and that'll take you to our site where we have the top 10 features we've already done. There's an entire World Education Center here that we put together. There's FAQs about the World Handicap System, so you can read more about it there. In this Education Center, if you're really into gin and you really want to know what went on with World Handicap System, there are 13 articles right there at the top. Each one of those is a single page you can read. It tells you what the system used to do, what the new World Handicap System is doing now, and why they changed it. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can read through those. Yes?
Do you know if on like the St. James golf page where you can click on like book a tee time and all that, is it going to have a gin instead of golf net? Are they going to?
I would assume yes. Yeah, they'll put the link there. They'll take you straight to gin.com. And it might take you, it could take you to the kiosk, but I think they want the kiosk maybe to be, if you're doing it at home, it's going to take you to gin.com.
And we have 4 courses here, and we had to pick out one to be our home for posting purposes in the past. Is it going to be all 4? The whole thing will be a home?
He was asking if there's a default course for posting. In the new system, there are no default courses for posting. What it is going to show you, we'll see in the demo again, that when you go to pick a course, it's going to show you the most recently played, so you can pick it off right away. Too close. So you'll be able to pick off courses you play. So if you're playing the 4 courses here, they're going to be in your list every single time with just one click. Plus you can look up any other course you want as well. And on the mobile app, when it is activated, it's not activated right now, but on the mobile app, it's also going to have a GPS function. So if you were traveling, it'll show you the course you're standing right there. Okay. Yes, sir?
Question, if I had a previous GIN number before we go
yes.
in here, is that active or am I going to get a new GIN number?
Everybody here is getting a new GIN number. That means you'll have 2, and we're going to have, anybody who has 2 GIN numbers, we need to know about it. You need to contact the staff here, and what we'll do is merge those numbers together into one, and you can have either one of the numbers that you want. Okay? So your scores will be put together. You won't lose any scores.
So will that just automatically integrate the old GIN scores into it? Or?
Yes. Yep. So it'll pick up all your scores that you had in the GIN system before, as well as the scores that brought over from Belkin. And if there's any duplicates, we'll get rid of them.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Okay. Yes, okay.
Can you show us how to retrieve multiple indexes at one time?
Multiple what?
Indexes? Like if I run a group of 12 people?
Sure. Yeah, when we get to the demo, we'll do it. Everybody hang on, I think let's get your answers.
I had a gym number before I was moving down here 40 years ago. Haven't posted in a gym in 40 years. That information still be in there?
That could be there. We could try to merge it if it was still there, but that's not the ones we were worried about. We were worried about people who were at E-clubs or at active ones in other states. But if you know what it was or you know where it is, tell the staff, and we'll try to find it, and we can put those in there. But they're really old.
I don't want to find it. I just want to know.
It was not picked up. It was not picked up automatically because we would have had no idea that that was you. Okay. All right, let's do a couple demos just to get beyond that so we get an idea. If I go to gin.com, well, let's go to the kiosk first. This is what the kiosk is going to look like at the club. I'll make it a little smaller. There we go. So when you walk up to the kiosk, it should look like this, all righty? And this is Pinewell Country Club because I happen to know their kiosk code. And so if I'm looking for, this happens to be turned on for touchscreen. So if I'm looking for a member there, I can just type in their name, Pike, this is a good buddy of mine that plays at Pinewell, and I immediately find both Dwight and his wife, Kim. If it's Dwight that's at the posting station, he's going to hit Dwight. And now he has 4 choices. Very straightforward. I can post a total score. I can choose to post 12 by hole. I can look up my handicap information, or I can look up any other golfers in the gin system, and particularly people at my club. Now keep in mind, at the kiosk only, you will only see public data. That means when you look at a player's record, whoever you're looking up, you're only going to see your month and year. You're not going to see the date they played, and you're not specifically going to see the name of the course. But you will see what score they played, what rating of slope they played to, and their indexes. So you can get all the information you need to know about that person you're going to play against them or something like that. But at the kiosk, because it's not secure, I could go, obviously I'm not Dwight, so you know, anybody can go up and look up this kind of information. You're only going to see public data. Now, if you're on your mobile app or the desktop and you're logged in, you will see public data for anybody outside of your club, and you'll see club data inside the club. So when you're looking at other members of the club, you'll see the dates they played, you'll see the course they played, and you'll see more data for those people. But if you looked up your cousin in Illinois, they're not part of your club, so you only see public data. That's how the system works. Okay. So if I'm Dwight and I'm going to go out and play today, I'm going to go ahead and hit my handicap information. I stepped up to the kiosk, and it's preset. The kiosk is preset to show a Magnolia course, but he can change it to whatever he wants. He hits the little search button. Time Wild has 2 courses, so if I wanted to know what I was going to do on Holly today, I would click Holly, and now I see all the T's on Holly. I can also look at any course I'm going to play. So I went back here and typed in our famous whispering. Give it a second, and it'll automatically show me all the whispering courses in the country. So I can pick up whatever I want. I exit off, then I'm back to Holly. And so Dwight, if he decides to play the black keys today, with his index, he'll have 13 is his course handicap. And you can see now it makes a lot more sense, because as he moves forward, he loses shots. If he's 13 on the blacks, but if he decides to go play them red tees, he's going to get 1 shot today. They're way up there. Okay, so it does stand to reason that as you move up, you're going to lose shots. And then, so in this particular case, he can find out what his course handicap is going to be for this day just by going to the kiosk if he wishes. He can also look at his scores. Even he is only going to see his public scores. But you can get a look at your opponent's scores as well to see how they're doing recently. I go back home. I can look up other golfers. I can look up people in my club. I can look up people anywhere in the United States, or eventually you'll be able to look up anybody in the world by country. Okay. So if he wanted to look up me anywhere in the United States, in North Carolina, well, now he's finding anybody with the name Hardesty, but in North Carolina there's 5 of me. Really? I do a lot of testing, so I do not belong to 5 courses. Actually, that's just North Carolina. There's another 5 in South Carolina. Okay, so that takes care of my handicap information. I can get information about me and what I'm going to play today. I can look up other people. Now, I finished golf and I'm going to post. I'm at the kiosk. I have a choice. I can post the total score, or I can post hole by hole. If I go to total score, all I have to do is fill out the little white boxes. I played the Magnolia, nope, I played the Holly. 18 holes. It's a home course score for me. I played the blue tees. I played today. And I get a choice. I can put in the front 9 and back 9 and it'll add it together for me, because the rest of the world tends to do that. Or you can just come straight over to total score and say, I shot 75 today. Okay? What? He didn't. That ain't my score, right? So now he would post score, which I'm not going to do because obviously he doesn't want me to post a 75 for him. If and when I do that, the screen will come back and say to you it's been posted. It will give you confirmation that you posted. Alrighty. Now let's go back and see what happens if we do hole by hole. If I do hole by hole, it's very, very similar. We're going to go to the, well, let's say we're on the Magnolia, we'll leave it there. 18 holes, again, it's a home score, but let's say it was a competition. So we're going to make it a C score. He's going to play the blue hybrid, play today, and now we enter hole by hole. So I get my front 9 and I start putting in scores. And that's my front 9, but what you can see as we go along, 4, 5, 3, oops, 9. But what it did was it adjusted it to a 6 form automatically. That's the net double bogey. It doesn't work. So he shot 47 on the front. Only 11 post, 43. It's going to do it for him. All we have to do is finish the back 9. So you can see, it's almost as fast as I can key. So I know everybody groans and moans about posting hole by hole. I know it's 18 to 20 seconds of your life. Life is precious, but it does not take that long. There are times, you may not have your scorecard. There's 4 of you and the other guy's got the card. But you can do it on your phone, you can do it at the computer, or you can do it at the kiosk. So he shot 94 today, but it's only going to let him post 89, We would review the round, and then he would post. And his 89 would not be nearly as good as his 75. Okay? So that's what will happen. Well, your handicap committee's watching, let's put it that way. Those are the simple tasks you can do at the kiosk. Pretty intuitive, straightforward, to be able to get the basics out of the way. Yes, sir?
Could you show us, pick 4 guys and show us, well, like I'm getting ready to set the scorecards up for tomorrow. Could you show me how you get 4 guys up there?
Can't do it here.
Can't do it here.
Only on the desktop with the mobile app, which I'll cover in a second.
All right.
Okay. So, yes, sir.
What if you made a mistake?
If you make a mistake, you've got to come to your staff and have that made to correction. The World Handicap rules say once you post, members are not allowed to change their score. Only your handicap committee or your staff can do that. Don't call the CGA. We have people call and email us all the time. Frankly, we're not allowed to either.
What about
you cannot believe the cockamamie stories we get from people trying to change score. We don't know who you are, and we have heard some whoppers.
What about the date? Can you change the date?
You can change the date to whatever date you played, but if you made a mistake, the staff will have to change that for you.
What if you made a mistake on the date?
You need to change it. You need to have the staff change it to the proper date. Yeah. Just hit the red button. Pretty straightforward. Here's the hole-by-hole scoring, or I can turn to total score. Later this week, they will flip-flop. They've been requesting across the country to make total score be the default when you come here instead of hole-by-hole. Now, what is there is a couple of choices for me. Here's all my most recently played courses. So if I'm playing at Pinehurst, which are where I'm a member on a regular basis, they're not going to be there. I can just click one click, and I've got the course. But I can also look up any course that I want right over here. Just type in the name, it'll find, again, all of the whisperings in the country, all the Stono ferries, whatever we want, without having to know the complete name. So let's say that hole by hole, I posted, I'm going to play number 7 today, or I did play number 7. There's my course number 7. I played 18 holes. All I have to do is select my tees. These are all the tees available for men. It knows that I'm a guy. So I played white. We're going to do the competition score. I played it today. Tells me my handicap for the course on that tee was 14, and all I have to do is post hole by hole. When I get the hole by hole, I get all 18 holes available to me, and I can simply go through and start posting scores. So I shot 83, it's going to let me post 81. Okay, we got this little disaster over here and an 8 somewhere else. 6 on a par 3. That kills you. Now, somebody asked earlier about statistics. In this version, as well as the mobile app, you have what are called advanced stats right up here, just up a little bit. And all you have to do is turn that on, and when you turn that on, it gives you the ability to tell how many putts you made. You hit greens in regulation. Did I hit the fairway, or if I missed, I missed right. So let me just fill out a couple of these. Okay, so I hit the green in regulation. I have 1, 3, 2 putts, and I missed the fairway every time, once right and 2 times long. Okay, I'm not going to fill them all out because that would take some time, but I'm going to go ahead and post this score. It's going to bark at me because it says you didn't finish your stats. I'm going to post anyway. And so now that it's posted, you get confirmation. It's scored by 81 instead of the 83 I shot. I have a differential of 8.2. I'm going to go down now. 7, and all the UT information. But when you post hole by hole, you get some statistics already built into your thing. On the left, if you post hole by hole, you get the scoring going. It just gives you a quick visual representation of how you did. And boy, did I have problems with bogeys at 28%, but I also had 28% birdies. Yay. And I hit par 50% or better. Okay. On the right side, if I did do advanced stats, I get a summary of my advanced statistics for this round. Obviously, there's not enough there. I just did 3 rounds. But you can see that if I'm going to miss the fairway, it looks like I'm going to miss right, 7% of the time so far. I actually did this for about 7 rounds when I first got access to this in November for a test ring. So I put in 7 rounds that I remembered. I have the ability to remember rounds quite a long time. So I just played them in my head, put them in. I found out that I missed the fairway often enough. That's just fine. But 72% of the time, I miss the fairway left. I did not know that. Now I do. Yeah, I can work on that. We also had pros look at this and said, boy, you know what they'd really like to do? They give you a lesson. They'd like to go ahead and do hole-by-hole statistics for a while. Come back, let's take a look at your summary statistics, and maybe we can determine whether or not those lessons are paying off or what should we concentrate on next. You know, I'm not getting in the hole, I've got a lot of putts, let's do a putter lesson, etc. So you can use this to your advantage. It is not required. The only thing you know is if you post hole-by-hole at the kiosk, you post hole-by-hole at the desktop, or you post hole-by-hole on the mobile app, you do not have to add the stats right that second. As long as you post hole-by-hole, you'll be able to go back and add the stats later if you wish. Okay?
Would you say that again, Leonard?
Sure. If you post hole-by-hole at any of the 3 products, you do not have to add the statistics right then. So if you post hole-by-hole at the kiosk, you can't add the stats there. But you can go home later and add the stats at that round. Okay?
Excuse me, on the mobile app, can you put your scores in as you go, so by the time you get to the end, it's already done?
Yes, that's possible. As long as you, yes, as long as you have, you can use, and I'll show you this mobile app in a second. You will have the ability, if you want to use your phone on the course, to score as you go along by just tapping the buttons. And when you get done, you just hit the post button, you're done. Play today, post today, you're done. That's going to be the easiest way if you want to do that.
And will you
We don't want everybody hanging around every green, comparing notes, and taking forever to post, but it is very, very quick. It is just 3 taps and you're done. So let's not delay the game, but it is convenient. All right, so that is posting scores hole by hole. Total score is the same thing that you saw on the kiosk. You're just going to put in a single score. Remember, when you put in a single score, you're responsible for net double voting. You do hole by hole, the system will do it for you. Golfer lookup. When I do golfer lookup, what ends up happening is I get a list of golfers. This is my following list. This is the list I was able to create and star, just like Twitter or Facebook, people I like to follow. Okay? So, these are people who have blue stars next to them that are in my golfing group, let's say. Okay, so I want to add a guy to my group. I'm going to go to my club. It's going to show me all the golfers in my club. And you know what? Charlie's going to join our group. All I got to do is star Charlie. And I go back to my following group. And look who's on my group now, Charlie. Now Charlie's growing. Charlie's going to join the group, so guess what? We're kicking out Andy. So, Andy, I click on the blue star and Andy's gone. All right? He's not in the group anymore. So I can keep a following group, and that list can be as long as you want. The only unfortunate thing is it's only one list. So if you're running 2 or 3 groups, they're all going to be in one list. You're just not trying to be everything to everybody, unfortunately. Okay. So you can look up people in your club. You can look up all golfers. If I wanted to follow my cousin in California, I'd look him up in California, put a blue star next to him, boom, he's on my following list. Okay? So that's a new feature for not only here, but this also following list is also on your mobile app. If you make the following list here on the desktop, the same following list will show up on your app, and vice versa. Yes, sir?
But is this where I would say, I get my group, 4 of my guys are playing whites, 4 of my guys are playing green.
Hang on another couple minutes. You're always a couple steps ahead. Okay, so that's how you're going to follow golfers and keep your rules. If you're on stats, you get the chance to see your score history. You can look at your 20 most recent scores. You can look at scores just for 2020, the past 12 months, just your revision scores, or as I said earlier, just your competition scores. You can sort your scores that way to look at them when you want to look at them. You can also look at cumulative stats. If you were keeping track of your statistics and you were doing hole by hole, this is my scoring doing it based on 11 rounds, and this would be my advanced stats based on 7 rounds. Of course, I'm never filling them all out of these demos. But if I was, I could have as many stats here as I wanted to, and I could see how my game is progressing for advanced stats, as well as just hole-by-hole scoring. So I'll go right in.
What's the 6 putts referred to?
That's my average number of putts per round. I'm only filling out 3 holes. Really good. I chip in a lot, yeah. Okay, so that's the stats page. I can also look at my, like I said, my scoring history or my stats. Sorry, when we go here, if in fact there's a symbol, this little symbol here indicates that there are stats attached to this, advanced stats. So this score right here has this little chevron. That means it was scored hole by hole. I have the ability to go back and add stats to that if I want now. It's sitting there without stats, but I can add stats to it. And if it says no stats, that means I posted a total score. There's no hole by hole, so you can't put stats in. Okay? All right. Now to the $50,000 question. Course handicap calculator. All right, I'm going to go out and play today. I want to know what my course handicap is. I'm going to play with my buddies, or my friends, or my group. So I come here and say, okay, what course are we going to play? Well, we're going to go out and play in course number 3 today. So I click on course number 3. It comes up, it knows I'm playing. It says, Doug, what tee are you playing? All right, well, let's see. I'm going to play the white tee today. I get 11 shots. Who's going to play with me? I'm going to add some golfers. The first thing it'll do is it'll take me back to my following list, my group of golfers. All right, Al's going to play. Oh, we got that Charlie guy. He just joined. We'll play him. James is going to play. And we'll have Gene join us. I'm going to have a 5-star. Back to the calculator. They're all sitting there. All I got to do is decide what team they're going to play. Charlie's going to play the green. I'm sorry, Al's going to play the green. Charlie's going to play the white. James is going to play the men's red. And Gene will play the ladies' red. There's the handicaps for everybody. We go out and play. There it is. No more adjustments. 11, 17, 15, 17, and 18, and away we go. Now, they do tell me that they're possibly going to add here the opportunity for you to key in a pen allowance so that the calculator will do it for you. So if you decided among your group we were going to play at 80%, you can put 80% in and it'll give you the 11, and then it'll also give you the 80% of the 11, just so you don't have to pull out a calculator at your first tee to figure out what's going on. I don't know when that would come. It was just kind of a rumor on Monday when we had an update. Okay, but that may show up at some time. So that is how you're going to run your group. You could do it on your mobile app, or you could do it right here at the desktop. Yes, sir.
Question. On your searches for golfers, right?
Yes.
So you start typing in the last name, Smith.
Right.
Well, how do you get to Zachary Smith, because it won't accept a comma and then space the first name. It won't accept.
You have, I believe you have filters.
Repeat the question then?
Yeah, he wanted to know a little more about how to search for a golfer when you're just looking for somebody named Smith. You get 50,000 of them in the country.
Right. And
so I haven't really looked that close on it. Let's take a look.
What I started doing was on the app, on the phone app, I started looking up other people in our groups. And instead of going to like Jim York, instead of going to York in the first A,
right, it
went right to the first plantation.
Right.
You know, if you start putting in plantation people, it'll start jumping to the plantation people. Right.
Okay, well, my club will always show you your club, right? Here, they're going to ask you to at least narrow it down by state.
Okay.
It should cut it down. Okay. On your mobile app, you actually have filters, so you could actually say that you want it to be anywhere in the Carolinas. Okay. And there's a few filters there. They're going to make the filters a little, again, a money bird, but they're going to make the filters a little more useful, so that you can drill down a little more. And they might add first name. On the your pros can key in a first name, last name, and get a little closer that way, but they haven't given it to you yet. Okay, give me a quick second, and we'll show you the mobile app. All I have to do is get my phone online. Okay, so what I'm doing now is connecting my phone to my computer so you can see it on the screen. Okay. For you to get your TIN number, you're looking up the bid. It has nothing to do with this thing here. You would have to go to your, in order to get your mobile app, you're going to go to your Play Store or your App Store, and you're going to look for GIN Mobile, and you're going to load it. When you go to the members training, there's a step-by-step instructions on how to load the mobile app in your phone. And there's a link there that will take you to the members training. Okay, so all I got to do is go back to where GIN is. The GIN mobile app is going to look like USGA GIN, like this. If I click on it, this is what the mobile app will look like when you come on board. I'm already logged in. When you go to log in, you're going to be asked to log in with your GIN number and your last name. Very, very important. Anybody with an Android computer, phone, right, with an Android. When it comes time for you to log in, anybody logging in, do not use, I don't think you're going to have any, don't use any 18 zeros. I think you all start with a 1 here, because you got 8 digits. However, Android users do not use the built-in Android app or prompt to put in your last name. If you do, it puts a space at the back of your last name and it won't let you log in. Key in your name, character by character. Do not use the Android prompt. It's a prompt problem, not a Jim problem. So just type your name in. Once you're in the app, it holds your registration. You don't have to log in again unless you accidentally log out. So you don't have to do it once. Okay, so if I'm on the app, got my name, my index, my low HI, just like always. And here's my post score and my course handicap calculator. The two things you're probably going to use the most. Everything else has kind of been pushed to the bottom, get it off the screen, make it a little clearer. So I want to post a score. I get 3 choices: whole by whole with my advanced stats, or total score. So let's say we're going to go ahead and do whole by whole with advanced stats while we play. Now, as I said, the nearby isn't active yet, so it's not going to show you the course you're standing at, but I can go click on my recently played courses. All right, so I'm going to post the score. I'm going to play number 8 today. So there's my course number 8, 18 holes. I'm going to relax today and play the hybrids. The home score for me, Wednesday, and I'm going to post hole by hole with statistics. So it automatically shows me hole number 1. All I have to do with my phone is start tapping buttons. So it shows me that par is 4, but I got to bogey that hole. I had 2 putts, green in regulation, missed the fairway, missed it left. Next hole. Now I have hole number 2. Par 5, I hit the par 5, 2 putts, green in regulation, fairway hit, piece of cake.
Have you done this on your phone for 18 holes? How much of a power drain is it?
Not much. No. It's been a pretty efficient score. Now, you want your phone to shut off while you're playing and just have the screen go off, but it's not a big drain because it's not using the GPS to show you holes necessarily. It's just connecting on the cell signal. So I can go ahead and do this. I double bogey, hit a 3-putt, missed the green, missed the fairway, terrible hole. And hit it even short, didn't even hit the fairway in my drive. So I can continue to do this, and when I get down to the end, I can go ahead and it'll come back and say, do you want to post? It'll show me my summary. You say yes, you're done. Not only is it getting your stats, but it's also done your net double bogey as you went along.
Instead of originally 12 things, you went green, white, it jumped it down to the
10, that's correct, because it calculates your course handicap based on whatever team you decide to play. Exactly.
I must have missed something. When you go to your mobile app to set it up in your app store, what do you look like? Carolina Golf?
Gin Mobile.
Oh, just Gin Mobile?
Gin Mobile is what you're searching for in the App Store. The word is Gin Mobile. Gin Mobile is what you're looking for in the App Store when you go to look for your app. So if I go back home, same thing for a gentleman who's not longer here. If you're going to go to Golfer Lookup, I click on Golfer Lookup down here, you'll see that my phone's reloading. There we go. You'll see that that's my following list, same one that was on the desktop. I can look at more information here. There's all kinds of other things when I click on more. My phone is being fussy here. So I can go to the course calculator. I can look at my handicap history. I can look at my card. If you want to see your GIN card, click here. And this will give you a representation. So if you need to prove to somebody that you're a GIN member and what your handicap index is, there you go.
Can we print that right now?
You would print it with a screenshot is all. I don't have the print button there right now. That's been requested to try to be able to print that out. The GIN has gotten away from pre-printed cards and pre-printed labels. They're ecology-minded now. They're not doing this anymore. One of the things this will do is, a lot of people want to know how many scores they've had in 2020 without having to count down the list. This will always show you the number of scores that you've had in 2020 right there. So far, with all my demos, I've played 19 times this year, and I've actually never been on the course yet this year. Just hit it. Sorry, got a question in the back? Oh.
wanted to keep a simple stat, like how many putts, or how many greens of regulation, is there any way to do that? Or is it hole by hole?
You can only, advanced stamps are only available, you asked if it was available, can I just put in a number, even though I do total score? No, it's only available with the hole by hole. Now, you don't have to do the other two, you could just do putts, but you'd have to put them in hole by hole. Okay.
Excuse me.
I guess you could fake it out, I don't know how many putts it'll let you key in for a hole. But if you had 36 putts and you wanted to put 12, 12, 12, you know, it won't, there'll be 36 in your record, but they'll be on the first 3 holes. I'm not sure it'll let you put in 12 putts, but you can try.
So everything we post, like we post on our app or on local or on the website, it will update all of it, right?
Everything's updated, everything's in real time, everything's in the same database. So if you post at the kiosk and then pull out your phone literally 30 seconds, 60 seconds later, that score should be on your phone as well.
Yes, sir. When you pulled up
Your following list
yes,
on the Pro app, can you get to course handicap based on tees played?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called the course handicap calculator. It's just another option.
Okay.
And you go there and
Can you do that
have
for
the
us?
same thing as the desktop.
Yeah,
exactly.
Can you do that for us?
I thought you'd left. So if I go to course handicap calculator, pick the course I want to play, just like the desktop. I'm going to play 3 again. Puts me on the course. I select my tee. I'm going to play the green tees. And I'm going to pick the golfers who are going to play with me today. It immediately takes me to my following list. I can pick my followers. I can pick any other golfer I want to search for. Just like
then his tees are up there too.
their tees, and you can change them to whatever tee you want.
Okay, so I got 4 of them. Okay, are they going to all show up at the same time and on the same screen?
On the phone, you only have so much screen real estate. You'll have to scroll up, but they'll all be there. They'll be in that one
All
list.
8 or all 4 of my guys will be there, and I just got to scroll down and find them.
I just got to scroll
Bob,
down and
you're
find
playing. You're 16 today. Gene, you're 21.
Exactly. Exactly. Pretty straightforward. Yes. Yes. Sir. Jim, you think we pronounce it Jim, but GHIN.com, right? Right. If you go to the bit.ly, like we saw before, if you go to that bit.ly, keep in your last name, you'll tell you what the number is. That's a website that I showed you earlier.
Thanks very much.
It'll take you right to that website there.